This is All About Wine, the talk show dedicated to the wine industry since 2009, featuring winemaker, cellar master, vineyardist, and tasting expert, Ron.
Basically, what we're trying to do on this program is just trying to educate people and trying to make wine less confusing and more friendly.
From coast to coast and around the world.
You know, we really have had some neat people on the program. I love that.
Post your questions and comments during the live show on our Facebook page at www.facebook.com/allaboutwinebtr. Again, that's www.facebook.com/allaboutwinebtr. And now, All About Wine is on. Here's Ron.
There we go. Okay, well,
right.
Yeah, I had to turn the audio on.
Yeah, bus people are all excited.
You know that
they are drinking their wine and they are enjoying a cigar tonight.
they are.
Compliments of Craig and Cap and Phil and Mike. They all send in cigars for our bus people. And so our bus people all have cigars.
Yep.
Speaking of which, we have a special show tonight. This is maybe we can call this a semi-annual. If everybody wants to do that, we can do a semi-annual special cigar show. We have 4 guys on joining us tonight who write blogs, attend conventions, talk cigar, and smoke cigars. And every week I join them in a discussion, and we share thoughts and just things about cigars and stuff. And I've learned a lot from these guys. I've never really been in cigars. I'll talk to you about wine, but I've never really been into cigars until I joined them, and they have educated me tremendously over the year. And I thought, what a great opportunity to bring them on, and we can have a discussion and a show about cigars. So,
And here we are. Do we need lounge music or something? Do we need some kind of special, And here they are, ladies and gentlemen. Please welcome.
Okay.
I don't know if that. I don't know what kind of music do you play for cigars. We'll have to find out. We'll bring them on.
For cigars, I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah.
We'll have to ask them that too.
We'll
in fact, they were at conventions. I don't know. Maybe they have special convention cigar music we might be able to get in there. We'll find that out.
Yeah.
So, but there we go.
Let's bring them on. They've been sitting there for.
Let's bring all these guys on the show. If I can find my cursor here. Oh my gosh, the whole thing goes down on me.
Yep.
Let's see. Okay, there we are, and that goes back down. Why is this not doing it?
You want me to click on them? I can bring them on.
Yeah, you click on them because it's my whole screen disappeared.
All right, Cap.
So bring them on the show.
Cap is live. Craig is live. 260.
Phil,
I have no idea who that is.
Mike.
And 973. I don't know who that is. You're live on Fun.
Me.
Welcome to the show, guys.
Wow.
Good evening. Hi. Glad to be here.
See, that was Mike. Mike, what's your area code?
973.
Okay.
Okay, so Mike is the last one on the list, and Phil must be the 260.
Yeah.
Okay.
260.
Okay.
Okay, 260.
New Jersey.
Okay, New Jersey, 973. So it just, why is Mike up there? Okay.
That's
me.
me.
Mike's at the top and bottom on the yeah, that's you. I got confused there for a second.
That's other Mike.
That's other Mike, yes.
The other Mike.
Yep.
Yeah, the Mike and Mike show. So, just so y'all know, the other voice on this is going to be Mike, my co-host here, and engineer and all that other good stuff. And so he'll probably be popping in there every once in a while with questions and comments. So usually he is very intelligent about it, but most of the time he doesn't say anything. So we just have to know he's back there. judging you.
Research, research and note taking. That's my specialty. Yeah. So
that's right. That's what he does. So, welcome to All About Wine, our special cigar show. First question, and for any of you or all of you, take your turns on that. Cigars. What seems to be the appeal to cigars now? To me, it seems like they are starting to pop out there more and more. I'm seeing more people smoke cigars. I go on the golf range, and almost every foursome has at least one person with a cigar, and it just seems like it's becoming much more popular. Any thoughts on that from any of you? I don't care.
No, this is Craig. I'd say it's because cigars are great.
In a word. But it's the
I guess that's
appeal.
it. Let's wrap it up.
Okay, there you go.
Thanks for coming.
That's in this. Thank you for tuning in. Yeah, it's yeah. There's our ending there.
Sorry about that.
Like I say, Mike jumps in there every once in a while. And so cigars themselves, they do have flavor profiles just like wine. What do we look for when we grab a cigar? Just like in wine, you look for the aromas, you look for the taste and all that stuff. Is cigars basically the same approach? Do you go through all the aspects of that, same as wine? Phil.
Let's throw the cap on that one.
Cap?
Cap here. Kaplowitz Media. Thanks, Ron, for having me on. I am on, correct? Can I have confirmation?
You are on. We haven't muted you yet.
I am on. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And again, I appreciate a repeat guest. Have you had many repeat guests, Ron?
We have, to answer that question, we've had some repeat. We have a guy who wrote a book, and he's been on like 3 times with new books. We've had every Halloween we do a show with a lady who visits graveyards, and she's into the past and ghosts and stuff. So every Halloween she's on, we talk about ghosts, and a couple of them, but no, it's overall of our 500 shows, very few repeats. So you have joined a small
elite. I was going to say a small elite group.
That's it. Exactly.
Is what that sounds like. Let me take a crack at your first question, though, because I forgot the second question. The first question, why are cigars popular now? And Craig hit the nail on the head, as he does often with they're great. But there's slightly more to it. Taking nothing away from Craig's great answer. There was a huge uptick in smoking during the lockdowns. And it continues to this day. Because,
as an alcohol consumption.
As an alcohol consumption, it's probably nothing different for you to hear. But, now you're hearing it from premium tobacco. And people work from home more, continue to work from home more. A lot of people that used to smoke one cigar on a Friday evening are now smoking one cigar every day because they're working from home. I think beyond that, or adding that to the mix of what I'm about to say, is times are fairly tumultuous, and people look for comfort, and cigars could be comforting. People look for maybe a little bit of safety in the form of tradition, and cigars are traditional. They're natural, handmade products. They're tactile. All those things, I think, are why cigars are popping up more and more and seemingly more popular than they were a few years ago. So maybe that adds to Craig's they're great just a little bit. Or maybe it should have left well enough alone. I could have easily...
Just letting that, you expanded on the one word. It's great, though. That's good. Phil, have you noticed a major increase in sales because of the pandemic?
Not any sales of my merchandise, my T-shirts and stuff, but sales of cigars probably. I think it probably has to do with, like Cap said, the COVID lockdowns, and what that also allowed for was an opportunity for people to read Cap's blog and Craig's blog more, which probably made people want to smoke more cigars.
You obviously aren't privy to my analytics, Phil, but I do appreciate that.
Hey, it's a good increase.
Yeah. Well, Mike does his little thing too there, though. All of you guys write blogs. Let's cover that right now because you've already opened the doors. So let's go into that. All of you write cigar blogs.
That's correct.
Not me.
Well, no,
Yeah,
not Mike. Not Mike.
Mike's is isolated to Facebook post blogs.
Yeah, but he reviews.
Mike does microblog. We'll consider Mike a microblogger, if that's okay, Mike.
Yeah, because he's always reviewing cigars and jumping in there. I'm seeing him pop up on Facebook quite often. All that. So, Craig, what is your blog address so people can make a note of it?
Oh, mine's easy. It's cigarcraig.com because Craig is an anagram of cigars and cigar, and it's all the same letters, and it's easy to remember.
And there you go. All right. And you come out blog every week, every few days, whenever you feel like it?
Well, yeah, whenever I feel like it's the main rule, but I try and shoot for 2 posts a week, sometimes more, every Sunday. Well, like clockwork every Sunday, but I try and get some stuff in midweek, whether it's news articles or videos from the trade show or whatever. Whatever I feel like. It's my site. I just kind of do what I want,
Yeah.
I have to say something real quick in regards to Craig because he is not going to say it, but Craig has been blogging about cigars for as long as anyone can possibly be blogging about cigars. He has been doing it for a very long time, and he's very well regarded within the industry. So,
well, thank you.
He's somebody that he's you're welcome. And I'm talking to you now, so I'll address you. But without a guy like Craig, I probably wouldn't be able to do what I do. So he's kind of the guy that paved the way for the rest of us, or he's in that generation. So, put some respect on his name, Ron.
Yeah, well, I've noticed in our discussions, every time we start talking about cigars and people in the industry, it seems like Craig knows everyone. It's just like, oh yeah, he's I've visited with him and I've interviewed him, and then we start talking about cigars.
Knows a lot more. He knows a lot more of them, but they're all gone by now.
Yeah.
Speaking of being gone, it almost feels like we're here to eulogize Craig. It's starting to feel a little creepy.
You started here. You started.
You're right. I'm sorry. I knew he wouldn't toot his own horn, so I'm tooting it for him.
Well, I'm glad you did. Yeah. So, Craig, how long you been doing this?
Well, like yourself, I started in 2009.
Did you? Wow.
Yep. Wow. Coming up on 13 years at the end of August. It'll be 13 years I've been doing it. Consistently. And yeah, I have been very, very fortunate to meet and befriend a lot of people in the cigar industry. It's just, I've put myself out there. I've gone to the trade shows. I've gone to events. I've gotten to meet a lot of people. It's been a lot of fun.
Well, since you mentioned trade shows, trade shows.
No, I don't like trains.
I like trains.
Yeah, well, trains are fun.
I like a good train.
Yeah.
What's wrong with trains?
All right, let's go back to what I was saying.
Phil
trade
likes
shows.
the train.
Phil just sitting there going, "What is it?" The trade shows. They are held annually, semi-annually, whenever they get enough people together that they can come in.
There's two major ones right now. There's the Tobacco Plus, or the Total Product Expo. Now they're calling it. It used to be the Tobacco Plus Expo. That's in the winter in Vegas, and then the PCA, the Premium Cigar Association, has their big trade show and convention in July, usually in most of the time it's in Las Vegas. But yeah, the whole industry comes out for the most part, and it's a selling show, so it's not open to the public. It's just retailers there placing orders, and everybody comes out.
So if people want to attend something with cigars, Cigar Enthusiast has I guess it's called Cigar Enthusiast. Wine Spectator always advertises the cigar events around the country. That would be a better place for people who just want to go and see and try.
Those are called the Big Smoke, the Cigar Aficionado, which is associated with Wine Spectator.
Right.
Yeah, they put on the Big Smokes in a bunch of cities around, and they're more consumer oriented rather than trade oriented. They're
they're actually big hercs, if you want to put it that way. And again, throwing Craig a bone, he did not invent the term herc, which means a group of people hanging out smoking cigars, but he was present when a much smarter person did invent the word. So that's something that he could lay claim to being part of. But I don't want to come in here and tell you how to run the show, but we started here with introducing ourselves. So
that's true.
Get along with
you say something, and I just think of something else, and I don't want to lose train of thought, and it's very easy to do with you.
Trains. We're back to trains, Ron.
Train.
Right.
Again,
Mike,
Derek,
can I speak to Mike? This seems to be going off the rails. If
you
can be punny. Okay. So let me just say, my name is Kaplowitz. We all seem to be friends here. You can call me Cap. That's Kaplowitz, and you can find me at kaplowitz.xyz, Kaplowitz Media. I have a blog. I have a podcast. I write about cigars, pipe tobacco, and Sherlock Holmes. And I'm going to pass it now to Mike to say a little bit about himself, if I may be so bold.
So I am Mike Weinstein. I basically, all my social media is Facebook under my name. I am a cigar enthusiast. I enjoy smoking cigars. Sometimes I write little blurbs that I post sometimes every day.
And
about cigars.
Very knowledgeable too. I mean, you have been around for a while, and you know people in the business. You know your cigars, and
not that long. I just jump in with both feet when I get into something like that. I've been smoking cigars, I believe, 7 years now, going on 8.
But you've acquired a tremendous amount of knowledge that I have seen in that period of time. So.
Right.
I'm sorry to butt in again, Kaplowitz here. I don't understand the sentiment of 7 years going on 8. What else would you be going on if you're sitting on 7?
That's a good point.
That intentionally infers beyond the halfway point.
There you go. Yeah. So you can see.
By that.
Comprendo.
Yeah.
Senor.
7 years and 8 months, you can say. Yeah. Or 7 going on 8. Yeah.
No. I stand
got that clarified. All right, Phil. Tell us about your. Well, you don't have a website. You sell cigars.
What?
Is he still with us?
Yeah, I know I'm still here. Yeah, unfortunately, my cigar shop closed. So I appreciate that, Ron. No, I actually have a website, cigarsmusic.com. And I started out doing YouTube cigar reviews, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago. So now going on 3 or 4 years. And I write some cigar reviews here recently as well. So that's kind of what I do.
Oh, okay.
And I also have podcasts as well.
And that can be found where?
ComedyCigarsMusic.com, or you can find me on YouTube by the same thing, Comedy Cigars Music.
Oh, okay. So I didn't know that. I'm going to have to go to that myself. I wasn't aware of that. See, we don't talk about this stuff.
What kind of show you're running here? What's going on here? I think what might have threw you with Phil is he mentioned his merch, but he does have merch tied to the Comedy Cigars Music.
Yeah.
Okay.
That could be it.
Okay.
Excellent merch.
That probably.
Do I believe everybody but me?
Yeah. I'll have merch.
At one point, I had merch. I don't have merch currently.
I have no merch.
Yeah.
Craig
See,
has
so
merch.
Mike, do you?
Why would Mike have merch? He's a microblogger.
Mike, I know.
You're Mike.
Walk around
But Mike
with
said,
my
as
name on
does,
their shirt.
why does everyone? And I'm thinking, well, then, and everybody just came back and said no one does. So I was just wondering maybe Mike was holding out on us.
Is there a manager I could speak to?
Yes. Mike, he would like to speak to a manager.
Mike.
Can you come in? The other Mike.
Oh, the other Mike.
Cap like to speak to the manager.
I'm out right now. So your call is very important to us. Please continue to remain on the line.
Excellent.
There you go. I'm sorry. The manager's not in. So, cigars. The question, we avoided it because we forgot it. But the profile of a cigar. When you pick up a cigar, what are you looking for in a cigar? Are you looking for just smoke? Are you looking for flavor profiles? Are you looking for anything particular?
So Ron, what are you smoking?
Tonight, nothing. I'm having a bottle of Urban Barn Red Blend, and
no cigar. Okay.
No cigar tonight.
Because I was going to ask you why you chose that one.
Yeah, you were wrong with that, Mike. That was a good one.
Why didn't you choose the one you had last night?
Yeah, well, recommendations from you guys, actually. The one I had last night was recommended by you guys, and so I picked that along with some others when I went out cigar shopping. I guess recommendations from salespeople are one of the biggest selling points of cigars. People who you walk into the store and say, what do you recommend? And I guess that's where most cigars are.
And that opens up a whole can of worms in discussions about tobacco shop personnel versus tobacconists. There's a big difference between them.
Like,
and I have to cut it off. Go ahead, Mike.
No, I was just going to say that the guy who's offering you assistance is closer to being a tobacconist than just some kid who's running the register at a cigar shop and knows nothing about cigars anyway.
So you do recommend that if people are going to go out and start looking for cigars, they need to find a store that is more than just a local shop that sells vape and all that, and trying to make a little bit of money to pay the rent.
So if there's a big store that sells vape and all that, and over in the corner there's a humidor, and there's actually a few nice cigars in it, how much concern do you think that guy behind the counter has for that little tiny corner cabinet compared with the rest of the store?
Yeah.
Okay, but I feel like what was the actual question? Why do you choose what?
I think flavor is a big key.
Well, why do you choose to smoke is the question, really. And you don't know from flavors, you don't know from experience yet. When you choose to try to smoke your first cigar, there's got to be some type of allure to it. And that's on a very personal level. And then once you do start smoking, you naturally gravitate toward what you like. So if you like something mild, I tend to have a light palate. So I prefer to smoke milder cigars that are complex. Some people, my Mike, not that I'm laying claim to owning Mike, but for the sake of clarity, Mike Weinstein, he prefers a stronger cigar. So he started smoking cigars to move away from cigarettes, which is an excellent idea. And he gravitated almost immediately toward stronger blends. So he chases those stronger blends with the one or two big notes, not a lot of complexity, but a lot of flavor, a lot of strength. Right. And flavor is obviously translated to what it tastes like, and strength. When we talk about strength in cigars, we're essentially talking about nicotine and the amount thereof. So when you talk about cigars, there's flavor, body, strength. Flavor, again, taste. Body is the reaction to the cigar in your mouth, the texture, the heft of it. And strength, come back to that, is the nicotine, how it affects your body outside of your palate. If it makes you sweat a little bit because it's a high nicotine cigar, that would be a strong cigar. If you get a little spins from it, or a lot, and you actually have a mustache, or smoking too fast. But Mike has a mustache famously, and I would imagine that thing sweats a lot. It's something I find myself thinking about more than I'm comfortable with, to be honest.
We also don't want to forget that a cigar, not only could it make you sweat a little or a lot, it could also just make you sweat an average amount.
Mm-hmm. And it depends on if you're smoking it outside in the garage because your wife said, get out of the house with that thing, or if you're smoking it in air conditioning.
That's an excellent point, Ron.
I have no defense.
It seems like a good time. It seems like a good time to point out that you can't tell by looking at a cigar how strong it's going to be. You can have light-colored wrappers, you can have dark-colored wrappers. There's all sorts of shades in between, none of which are indicative of the strength of the cigar. This is why relying on experienced guidance is kind of important.
Mm-hmm.
Hear, hear.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing with excuse me. The cigars are in so many different styles. You have Connecticut,
that's
Madeira,
why they keep making different ones.
Yeah, and one thing I learned from you guys, I tend to enjoy a Connecticut cigar because it tends to be a little bit milder, a little bit flavorful, but a little bit milder than some that are
sometimes
heavier.
A little creamy.
Yes, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A smooth taste and silky type flavors to it. But if someone wants a cigar that is heavier, is there any particular one that they should look for? I mean, besides Connecticut, there's Toro, there's...
So for the most part, I find that blenders will roll for the wrapper. So a wrapper is very indicative of the blend because the blender has an idea as to what that particular wrapper presents, what the type of filler is to support it. So the strength of wrappers progress up a scale, of course, just like many other things. Connecticut, you're down near the very bottom. And then you go up from there through a variety of different wrappers and shades and colors as well.
Okay, so that leads me to something else. Let's talk tobacco. Let's talk leaves and stuff. Basic. A cigar is rolled by numerous different leaves put together, and the flavor profile comes from the center of the cigar or the whole thing? I mean, what are you looking at?
Okay, so who wants to talk about cigar construction?
Who wants to
I can
about
take that one.
cigar construction? Okay. Sorry, Craig.
No, I can break it down pretty simply, I think. Basically, a hand-rolled cigar, it consists of a wrapper, a binder, and filler tobaccos, usually 3-5 leaves in the filler. The binder is a kind of an uglier wrapper leaf that just holds it together, and the wrapper is the pretty leaf that goes on top. Certainly, there's different areas of the plant that they use in the filler. Some, the lower leaves help it burn. The higher leaves add more flavor because they've been on the plant longer and receive more sunlight. And then the trick is blending different leaves from different varietals or different growing regions together to make a pleasing taste.
Even different fields.
Yeah. So,
is there different plants in tobaccos that make for different flavor cigars? I mean, like in grapes, you have a Cabernet Sauvignon, which is going to taste different than the Merlot, but they're all grapes. Does that happen with tobacco plants?
Well, they're all. I believe all cigar tobacco is black tobacco. So that's the first qualification. It's black tobacco. But there are a lot of varietals, that sprouted up from region to region. But there's a bunch of different leaves. Just like with grapes, there's different varieties, and there's sub varieties and things like that. There's all just like with grapes. It's very much cigar tobacco growing is much like grape growing.
We even have our own terroir. We even have our own terroir, but we call it growing regions. So you could have a seed varietal that takes on different characteristics depending upon if it's grown in the Dominican Republic or in Honduras or wherever, perhaps Nicaragua. That could be different too.
People, obviously, everyone has heard of the Cuban cigar. What makes that so, special, if you will? Why do people seek out the Cuban cigar? Is the tobacco that much better there?
It's forbidden fruit.
That's probably the number one reason. And the number two reason is there are people who, for some reason, really appreciate those particular cigars, even if they're not the older ones, and feel that that's what they should smoke. But it's mostly the forbidden fruit thing. I mean, that's what they all figured. If you looked at any of the plans that they had, if they legalized Cuban tobacco, it's like the first 3 years there's a rush for it because everybody goes, I could never have one. They talk about it all the time. I got to try it.
Right.
And they might try one or two, and then they're done. So after the first couple of years, everybody who wanted to try it has tried it. And then you would see what the serious numbers are.
At the end of the day, Cuba is simply another growing region. And it has, like I said, its own characteristics, its own profile. It tends to be a bit more mellow. It tends to be a bit more maybe aromatic. But at the end of the day, that's what it is. It's another place where this leaf is grown. It just so happens our country has an embargo against that country. And then we circle back to the forbidden fruit.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, yeah, I've had a couple of Cuban cigars, and it obviously didn't impress me enough to really
remember
think about
it's not just the Cuban cigars, it's the Cuban tobacco. So nobody can even import it into Nicaragua and blend with it and then try to sell it in the US. So it can't even contain any of the tobacco. So it's not the cigars themselves, it's the tobacco.
So actually, like Cap said, the terroir is really quite important when it comes to tobacco.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Again, it's very closely related to grapes, from what I understand.
It sounds like it. It really does. It sounds like it's
And
much more
and then you get into the whole. It's not as simple as just plucking leaves, letting them dry out, and smoking them. You get into a whole process of fermentation.
All the post-processing
that's probably
which might be equivalent to winemaking skills.
Mm-hmm.
What to do with the grapes after you have them.
Yeah, it's how they're dried and how they're it would be a very important step.
Fermenting, yeah. I mean, there's multiple processes that they go through to come up, especially when you consider the difference between the darker and lighter shades. When you get to the Maduro, the really dark shade, there's been a lot of processing. Remember, it started out as a green leaf. They all were green leaves. So you end up with this really dark milk chocolate, dark chocolate brown leaf for a cigar that sometimes is awesome.
Well, there you go. People out there looking for cigars. Now,
it's also interesting. It's also kind of interesting to note that a plant growing in the field today is probably 3 to 5 years away from being in a cigar you're smoking tomorrow. So it's a lengthy process. The whole fermenting and the whole process is very lengthy and very manual. There's not machines involved.
You all of you have said fermenting. Now, when it comes to wine, I understand fermenting, but what are you doing to tobacco leaves to ferment?
Okay, it's they put it in piles. They put thousands of leaves in piles that are like 8 feet long and 4 feet high, and about 4 or 6 feet wide. And they let it basically compost. It sits there, and the heat builds up, and when it hits a certain temperature, they take the pile apart and rotate all the leaves around and let it do it again 5-6 times over the course of a year, 18 months. And that's the fermentation process. And once it gets fermented to a certain point that they're happy with it, then they pack it in bales and leave it sit on the shelf for a while until they're ready to use it.
So that's why it takes so long to get into the cigar that you're smoking tonight. Oh,
yep.
Okay. And now,
did we talk about the cigars that we're smoking?
Yes, that's just what I was going to lead into. So what is everybody smoking? I'm not. I'm having wine tonight, but what is everybody smoking tonight? And tell me what you're smoking, and not just the name, because a lot of people out there probably just won't understand the name, but tell me a little bit about that cigar. Craig, you want to start first for me?
Sure. I'm smoking a Diamond Crown Maximus, which is made by J.C. Newman Company down in Tampa. It's actually manufactured by the Fuentes in the Dominican Republic, and it's I think a heavier cigar. It's got a darker wrapper. It's full flavored, and unlike a lot of Dominican cigars, it's reasonably it's a reasonably heavy cigar. That's one of the things I really like about it.
Do you like the full smoke then? Yeah.
Normally, I had a milder cigar earlier in comparison with a Connecticut shade wrapper.
Mm-hmm.
But no, these hit the spot for me.
Very good. Cap, really what is it you're enjoying tonight?
Well, the cigar I'm currently enjoying is something from PDR Cigars, and it is called the El Criolito. And it is, if you want to get into the blend, I'm cheating by reading about it now, and a little something that I pulled up on the internet. The wrapper is an Ecuadorian Criollo 98. The binder is Mexican San Andres, just to give you an idea of the different types of leaves available. And the filler, the guts, the innards, are from the Dominican Republic and Nicaragua.
So it's both countries. Since you mentioned that too, is Nicaragua and Dominican Republic seems like those are the most common cigars you find here in the United States. Is that not true?
And they tend to be quite different too. You almost have camps of people that either like Dominican or Nicaragua cigars, and Dominican cigars tend to be a little tangier, a little lighter bodied, and Nicaragua seems to offer a spicier, heartier offering.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that. Phil, are you enjoying
Of course you
a
didn't.
smoke?
Yeah.
All right, let's be nice. Phil.
Yeah, punch, knuckle buster, Maduro.
Knuckle burst.
I was in Starburst actually just a second ago.
Oh.
I was going back between Starburst and Skittles, and then Burst came out. Knuckle burst is it's one of the superpowers that some of the fighters in the Street Fighter video game had. But yeah, this is the knuckle buster Maduro.
Oh, I remember that.
And it's got a Connecticut broadleaf wrapper, Indonesian binder, and Nicaragua fillers. So yeah, it's pretty good. It's a darker, for me, it's a darker cigar. You know, notes of like dark chocolate, coffee, a little bit of dark cherry or black cherry in there. So yeah.
I forgot to actually tell you what I was getting from my cigar. I apologize,
yeah, you did.
but it's Ron. It's a spice bomb. It's a spicy cigar. The one I'm smoking. Mm-hmm.
But I want to point out to the listener too of All About Wine. You notice the descriptions that they're throwing out there are the same descriptions that we give to some heavy Cabernets or some nice Barberas or something. It's the same type of profile that you're getting in.
That would also pair well. That would also pair well.
And it's amazing because, well, like Phil's description there could apply to a nice heavy Zinfandel. I mean, the profile he just said. So that I thought that was very interesting, how it applies so well there. Mike, what are you smoking tonight?
I am smoking something from one of my favorite blenders. This is a Trinidad Espiritu Serie number 1. It's made at the A.J. Fernandez factory for, I guess it's Alcatis, right? But Trinidad is the company. That's the brand.
Right.
So it's Trinidad, and this is the Espiritu Serie number 1. Very nice cigar. Not a lot of information. It is a Nicaraguan puro, which means that the wrapper, binder, and filler are all Nicaraguan tobacco. So this is a pure Nicaraguan, a puro.
Okay. That's interesting too.
Yeah, so this is a guy who has huge farms and lots of tobacco, so naturally he wants to use as much homegrown tobacco as he can.
Mm-hmm.
So his blends tend to use a lot of the same varietals, and a lot of people say a lot of them taste alike, which I guess is true to some extent. I guess there's only so much you can do with all the tobaccos, but nonetheless, this has got some. This is a nice medium plus, maybe medium to full for me. Lots of flavors. It's got a really nice retro ale. Not a lot of spice on the retro, just enough that it's interesting.
What's a retro ale?
You better explain that.
Okay, so I guess there's an equivalent in tasting wine as well. So do you exhale through your nose while you have wine in your mouth to get the nasal component?
I do, because I know how, but most people choke. But yes, that's a great way to do it.
And that's a retrohale. The same thing with the smoke. You let some of the smoke come out of your nose, and then you're doing a retronasal exhalation. That's a retrohale.
You're triggering your olfactory senses. You're smelling it, your smell tastes, because not to get overly geeky, but if you're talking palate, you're strictly talking sweet, sour, the primary tastes. But when you can somehow trigger your sense of smell, that's when you get the, like the chocolate and not just the sweet. And that's kind of where we live as cigar reviewers. so we could say things like you said, and not just tell you, well, it's kind of sour with a little bit of salt. So that's
right. And of course, you have to realize that even if you're not intentionally retrohaling, just a matter of breathing, some of that is going through your nose. So you are always getting a little of that smell taste. But if you do a retrohale, then you really, really get a feel for the tobacco.
Ah, okay.
Right. And honestly, a lot is made of the retrohale. I don't, for one, think it's that important, because if you just sit with the smoke, you smell it. You don't have to force it out your nose, but it's a thing that people like to do.
Well, but I always find the smoke after you've exhaled it or at the foot of the cigar never really smells the same as what I'm doing on a retrohale. I don't know if it's because the direction that it's going, rather than sniffing something in your nose, this is going out the other way. That's why it's retronasal. It's not orthonasal, it's retronasal.
But
not to get geeky.
What I recommend, because we're probably talking to people that aren't smokers, they're maybe just interested in becoming a smoker. Don't worry about blowing it out your nose. Some people have trouble with that.
Yes, that's what I was trying. That's what I was trying.
It does ramp up the spices. It could tear up your eyes. When you smoke, sit with the smoke, and by that I mean let it stay in your mouth. Swish it like wine. Chew the smoke.
Chewing is
that
good.
Should get you where you need to go. And then you can blow it out your nose.
Right. And that's the retrohale, and that gives you a burst of more flavors that you might not have even tasted while you had it in your mouth.
Fair.
Is the beginning of a cigar flavors going to be different than the end?
One hopes so.
Can be. Yep.
You'd be talking about what we would call transitions.
Right.
And that's just the thing that happens in premium cigars. Not always, and it's not always indicative of good. It's not inherently good. If a cigar you're smoking starts getting bad, that's a transition. It just is a transition that introduced aspects that you don't like. So a lot of times people say, oh, this cigar is transitional, as if it's inherently a good thing, and it's not necessarily. But yes, they do tend to transition to the point that the traditional way of reviewing a cigar is in thirds. So I don't do that. I notice some people are moving away from it. I think I honestly don't read a lot of reviewers. I tend to only read Phil and sometimes Craig. But Craig swears he's not a cigar reviewer, so I don't know what to make of that.
I just like
but there are transitions. Even if it's just think you're pulling in as it's burning, you're going to have a buildup of oils, and that alone is going to change your experience.
There you go.
As well as the tar inside.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there are tricks to, fixing, quote unquote, fixing that. You could purge, what they call purging, and that's blowing out the other. You blow out.
I like to purge. Some people don't like it. I like to purge.
And some people are dumb.
I get almost like a fresh, clean taste of the cigar after it cools down.
Exactly. It cleans it. It cleans it out. It cleans it up. But I feel like we're drifting so far from the rudimentary. Because you have to remember, Ron, these questions you're asking, first of all, you're asking them to geeks, to cigar geeks.
No, I know.
And second of all, there's really no easy answer. These are all, like, when you ask about the fermentation process, books have been written about it. Some of them good. And these are big topics.
Same thing with wine.
I can imagine.
I mean,
I know a little bit.
If you want to educate your listeners in cigars, then we have to go back to Cigars 101.
Right. Yeah. But the things that you're saying there, I think piques interest. I mean, I can get geeky on wine. Sometimes I do, but I think people look at that stuff and it piques an interest to investigate further. And I think that's what you're doing now is, with the leaves and the fermentation and all this stuff. I think it gives people a little shove to, try these different cigars, to look at the different flavor profiles, to try blowing back through the cigar and seeing what the difference in the next puff is. I mean, all that stuff is motivating people to try them, and that's same thing with wine. That's what we do with that. We get a little bit geeky because, that's what we do.
Well said.
But by the way, along with the cigar, I am enjoying some wine.
Are you?
Oh.
I have a bottle of Cedez Cabernet Sauvignon that appears to be from the Napa Valley, a 2019 vintage.
I'm impressed, Mike. I am impressed.
Is that a kosher wine?
I have no idea.
All wine basically is
It's a very
kosher,
good wine, though.
Yeah, it should be a good one. Yeah, I'm not familiar with that particular one, but there are so many boutique wineries, as I'm sure there's so many boutique cigar makers, but so many boutique wineries that you can't keep up with all of them. And the same thing with cigar makers, which begs the question, I mean, same thing applies to wineries as it does to cigar makers, but how do a startup cigar maker make it in the business? I mean, you would think that
most of them don't.
Really?
How do a startup? Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
That was exactly what you said. How do a startup? Well, let me tell you how it'd be. A lot try. There's that old jokey joke about, it's an excellent way to make $1 million if you show up with 2 million. It's hard. It's hard to be a little guy. You don't get the best leaf, and when you get the best leaf, you don't have security that you're going to continue to get the best leaf. The hope for a boutique company is to kind of catch fire by offering something different. That's one way they could go. There are a lot of tobaccos and processes that aren't used by the bigger guys sometimes, and they sneak in a little curveball on, the business. And you have a bunch of seasoned smokers that are always looking for something new. And hopefully a boutique company could supply that to them. A lot of it has to do with marketing. They're the new cool kid. They're the new pretty girl that just started in high school, and they get a lot of attention. It's a hard road. I would not recommend anyone trying to start a cigar company, especially not with your audience, Ron, because first we got to get them smoking.
That's true. Right. It's the old saying in the wine business, how to make $1 million, you start with 2. And you just said the same thing. I mean,
right.
It's just goes along there. I can't help but think, and whenever people think of cigars, they think of Swishers and Black and Bold and all of these things on there. Would you call those gateway cigars? I mean, it seems to me like they're the Boone's Farm and the Strawberry Hills.
Those convenience store, those truck stop cigars, those mass-produced, machine-made cigars are literally what drives the industry. Say what you will about them. We here who enjoy premium cigars, even boutique cigars, which are premium but tiny and half out of business, we are such a small segment of the cigar industry that is, again, driven by those machine-made cigars, like the Swisher Sweets, like the Philly Titans. Like anything you would picture, again, back to high school, the kid that's cutting it open and putting another leaf in it. I don't know if we could say that. You get the gist. But as far as sales and as far as
all
production,
they want is a wrapper.
Right. And there are people that smoke. I'll occasionally smoke machine made. I just recorded a podcast about don't overlook them. Don't be so snooty as to overlook them, because a lot of people, they have a desire to purchase a cheap cigar that they could mow their lawn with, and they don't think to get machine made. And I think that's a good spot for a machine made, because it's a waste for a premium cigar when you're toiling in your yard. But that's personal. That's my preference. So anyway.
Point. Well, speaking of machine made, then the majority of cigars would be machine made. The hand rolled would be premium.
I forget the actual number. It's under 10%.
It's a lot.
It's 5% of the cigar industry is handmade.
I thought it was 3.
Maybe 3. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's very small.
That really surprises me.
Yeah. So where they sell, let's be generous and say 400,000 cigars a year in America. In the world, they're selling 35 billion of those little things.
Right.
Okay. Well, and you start thinking about, you walk into a cigar store that has their nice humidor in the back of the store, but you pass through 4 or 5 aisles of the cigarette cigars and all those flavored cigars and everything before you get back to the humidor. So I suppose that would make sense there if you really think about it. I mean, people don't just pass those and go to the back of the store. They come in, pick up those, and walk in.
Ron, I hate to interrupt Cap again. Are you saying humidor? I hear humidor.
Yes, I did. Humidor.
I would be
humidor.
Nice.
Humidor. Pardon me again. Cap still. Humidor sounds like a Hispanic man who hums. Humidor.
It's humidor. Yes, it is humidor. I stand corrected.
It contains humidity.
It's humidor all over the world. It's humidor in Cuba. It's humidor in the Dominican Republic. It's humidor in Honduras, and it's humidor. Ron, it's humidor in Nicaragua.
And in
Florida.
And
the
even
idea
in Florida, we say humidor.
And of course, the idea of a humidor is to keep the humidity in, consistent.
Yes, it's a humidity level.
Well, I remember somebody once asking me about 90% humidity in their humidor, and one of their cigars kept going out.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I told you I'm learning. I'm always learning.
I think that was the first big revelation. That was the start of all the good times.
You're right. You're absolutely right. Well, let's educate the people out there listening to this, and let's assume they are not cigar smokers. Everybody thinks they need to have that little box with the little moisture container thing in there, and but everybody has to have these cute little cedar boxes or redwood boxes and all that with the
not redwood.
Not redwood.
Definitely
cedar. It's Spanish cedar, which technically is neither, but it's a type.
It's a mahogany. It's a mahogany.
Yes,
it's a mahogany family.
Yes, but it's known as it's doing business as Spanish cedar. The thing is, and I could hit. This is a pet peeve of mine, and I could hit a very ripe audience with this. If you're listening to this podcast and it's whetting your appetite to smoke your first cigar, or maybe you've only smoked a couple of cigars in your life and you want to get another cigar and you want to see maybe you missed something that didn't catch on, and maybe it'll catch on this time and you'll turn into a cigar guy. Don't rush to get a humidor or even a humidor. Go to your local tobacconist. Have him recommend what you should be smoking according to where you are on your journey of being a smoker, and leave there with at most a 5-pack of cigars. And you could keep those 5 cigars for an indefinite amount of time in a Ziploc bag with a two-way humidification device, like a Boveda. So don't rush to get the humidor, because what I see is a lot of people that rush to get humidors and they don't know what to do with them. And then they hit up people like me with annoying questions like, my humidor level is at 90. What am I doing wrong?
I'm here raising my hand. I'm raising my hand.
Of course it's mold. You're repeatedly dipping your cigar in water. Yes, it is mold. You are growing mold. Don't worry about it. Let the tobacconist, the retailer, let them worry about the humidor. You go there, get your cigars, learn how to smoke. And the best way to learn how to smoke is by smoking. Not listening to me, not listening to Craig, not listening to Phil, who refuses to speak anyway, not listening to even Mike.
I would have to agree with everything you said, and would just add one thing. I would like to see double bagging of the cigars.
Well,
that's crazy.
I need, full disclosure here. What they're talking about is me. I've been a pseudo cigar smoker for, playing golf and stuff like that, and I get it through Thompson Cigar. I get some of the cigars through there. I don't pay a lot for them. And I got myself, during one of my orders, my nice little humidor. And I always thought that you're supposed to keep the moisture level up high. And I did. I was keeping it around 92%. Yeah, really high.
It was raining.
And
it was actually raining in your humidor.
Cigars, and they still didn't burn.
Yeah, and so I mentioned to these guys once, and
Al Roker
God, obviously they are not letting me forget
Al Roker, let me talk. You invited me on. I want to tell a joke. Thank you, Ron. Cap again. Al Roker is reporting live on location from Ron's humidor, and all he could get out is, "It's raining."
It's raining. It is affecting 300,000 people.
Sideways.
Yeah, my humidor
Al
is
Roker, right?
way,
He's the
way
weatherman. Did I get that name right? That's Al Roker,
you got that
correct?
Right. Yeah, Al Roker.
Oh yeah. I don't watch a lot of TV.
He used to be. He's not a weatherman anymore.
Oh, he isn't.
What is he now?
Special assignments he does. Like he does the Macy's parade. He doesn't do much more than that. He goes out on, important stuff. Like when they get a cat out of a tree, those kind of things.
Oh, so he's like a fish guy now.
If there's a big weather event, he always gets on there and says, and this will affect 300,000 people. And as it moves this direction, it will affect another 275,000 people. He loves to tell you how many people is going to be affected by weather systems. So it always cracks me up. Yes. So to continue, I mentioned it to them, and they did not let me forget it. They go, and you've heard all the comments. I heard all those comments too. You're wringing out your cigar. It's raining in your box. All this other stuff. And so I immediately took out the little moisture thing.
It's raining in your box. What kind of show is this?
all the moisture inside my humidor. So the cigars are now breathing properly and airing properly without being too wet and without forming moisture inside the cellophane. And so if you do get yourself a humidor, then don't set that temperature or that humidity high. Do not do it. It is not good. Mike always
not even 70.
Below 70 even. Mike always, whenever he reviews a cigar, he has a little instrument. What's that instrument called?
A humidimeter.
A humidimeter. And he
Cigar
pokes that from cigar there, it's got a little probe that you put in the cigar.
Two prongs.
Two. Oh, okay.
Right.
And it tells you the relative humidity of the cigar. And like Mike
at that point.
at that point. And like he just said, 70, between 65 and 70, he feels is the ideal. We've talked about
I like
this.
between 60 and 65.
Oh, even lower. Okay.
That's my personal preference.
Wow.
Yes.
Man.
So it just, I had to give full disclosure on that why.
We love you anyway, Ron.
Yeah, why they were doing that. Also, cutting off the end when you cut the end of your cigar. This is something else that they jumped on me about a little bit too. I was cutting off like quarter inch of the end of the cigar, and they go, no, don't do that. There's a little cap on the end of the cigar, and when you cut it, it's just into that cap and nothing more. You don't need a deep cut, but so many times you see TV shows and stuff, and they do a cigar and they just stick like.
And that's how you know the guy's not really a cigar smoker.
yeah, there you go. Because you get a lot of these movies and stuff where they have a cigar and they go to snip off the end, and it's an inch of the cigar that's cut off. So.
Right.
But these are things these are things that people don't really explain to you, and if you're unsure about stuff, ask your local tobacconist, and they will try to educate you a little bit more there.
And they will happily sell you an expensive cutter too if you let them.
Right.
Yeah.
The cheap one is fine to start.
And
the problem with the cheap ones is the big problem with the cheap ones is they get dull very fast or out of alignment. But if they're cheap, they're good for a little while.
And you get used to. I got a V cutter, and that's been working very well for me.
That's a whole other animal.
Yeah, it's like openers for wine. You can go out and buy yourself all sorts of openers. You can get one that mounts on the table. That you guys disappeared for a second there. I started to get worried. You can buy one that mounts on the table.
As far as the V cutter goes, that eliminates that other problem we talked about because there's a backstop. You can only cut so much off with the V cutter. It doesn't let you go too far. So that's one of the big advantages for a novice is that you don't even have to worry about it.
And I also found that you can get the regular circle cutters, the two-finger things that have a backstop on them, and so you can just put it in there and
you can.
And do that. These are good ones to find
too. If you don't have one of those, you can take that cheap cutter, lay it on the table, stand your cigar up in it, and take a cut, and that'll be a good cut.
Yeah, there you go.
It's not enough.
The takeaway is you just have to cut through that top leaf to free up the draw. That's it.
It doesn't take
much. If there's
much.
any question if there's any question if you're cutting too deep, you're cutting too deep. Cut less deep. You could always cut again if you have to.
All great advice.
Put the thing back together. So and if you cut too far, what you run into if you cut too deep is you cut past where you should, and then the whole cigar could unravel. So don't do that. Be careful. You don't have to overthink it. Just be careful. This is all very familiar to me because if I could plug something that I'm working on, I'm actually working on a small book that will walk everyone through this. And Craig could tell you because he read a kind of a draft of it, and Craig could tell you that it is very entertaining. This book that I'm working on.
It kept me awake for a good hour.
That's a direct quote.
For a good hour.
That is. It's a 2-hour-long book, but it kept him awake for an hour.
For an hour. It's got dozing off. Well, the different cutters and
everything. That's what I implied.
Like that. Yeah, I know. Okay. The different cutters out there, though, you can go crazy and get yourself some very expensive ones, just like on openers for wine.
Sure.
And so
the same is true for lighters. They were just selling lighters at the PCA show for $5.5 million for one. They had
my gosh.
for sale.
And they sold 2 of them at the show.
Do I regret buying one of those?
Yeah,
oh my gosh. What?
Crazy.
I have to, what, diamond encrusted? What?
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Yes, actually, yes.
Oh my gosh, that is unbelievable.
Solid gold.
I wasn't able to get close enough to them myself.
The only
as well
thing
connected as I am.
You could light a cigar with a Bic lighter, not a sponsor, a Bic lighter. You could light a cigar with a match as long as it's a wooden match, not a paper match.
Right, paper match, right.
It doesn't take much.
And never ever use a lighter with lighter fluid. You don't ever want to use a liquid fuel in a lighter to light a cigar. You want to use gas, butane.
Yes.
Odorless
Because
and
anything else smells. Yes.
Right.
And that's the lighter.
Then it
flavor
will taint
through it
your
with
cigar.
Huh. Well, there you go. All these people out there listening to this going, oh my gosh, what am I going to do with my Zippo now?
You take it out, take the Zippo part out, and you put in an insert, which is butane. You can find them almost anywhere.
God.
There you go.
So much information.
This is like deja vu all over again.
I know it does, doesn't it? But I had to bring it up, and we can't reference. So,
I'm tired.
Yeah, early on the West Coast. You got a long ways to go. Mike, do you have any comments, any questions, anything you want to bring up to the guys?
I just learned something that Craig is an anagram of cigar, and there's okay. So a couple of questions. Is it a fact that 7 years is followed by 8 years? And can you tell the difference? Can you tell the difference between? This is serious. Can you tell the difference between more expensive versus cheaper cigars, like you can supposedly with wine? Like how expensive before you go?
To some extent.
Okay.
To some extent. Very often, I'm disappointed by a $20 or $25 cigar. Only because for me the value to price ratio is not good. My perceived value. But you can find an inexpensive cigar or a value cigar that is not only very good for the money but very good.
Okay, I'm going to kind of deviate from what you're saying here. I don't want to put you on a hot seat, Mike, but one of the beauties of the cigar industry of premium cigars is you do most of the time get what you pay for. If you pay a little more, you get a little bit of a better cigar. The thing that you hit up against is kind of what Mike is alluding to. How much more do you have to pay for how much better? And that comes down to kind of like your budget, your personal preference. But
diminishing returns.
Right. Predominantly, you do get what you pay for. Everybody's always looking. I think I alluded to it before. Everybody's always looking for a screaming deal, like a $5 cigar that smokes like a $10 cigar. But then when you hear them talk about it, they always say things like it's good for its price. Which, and I've said this a million times, and I'm going to try to clean up what I normally say. But when you start talking about it's good for what it costs, it's a lot like. She's really hot for a heavy-set woman. I'm trying to be very careful with that, but you always meet this disclaimer. You always meet this disclaimer that it's good for the price. That, to me, doesn't sound that great. When you have to qualify it, like you said. Again, you predominantly get what you pay for, but that being said, there's also a limit. Like no cigar costs more than, I don't know, Craig, how much would you say no cigars? Like, what's the limit as far as just labor and material? Like,
Yeah, like
$30? No, I mean like on our side, on Mike's side, on the consumer side. Like, no cigar is worth much more than $30.
No.
I would say.
Yeah,
Does that sound about right?
Yep. I mean,
what do people expect
every
to pay?
every cigar basically only costs a couple dollars to make, and the rest is packaging, marketing. There's sometimes you run into
everybody's
rare
profit.
but there's a lot of hands in the pot that want to make money. But
how much if someone's going to go out and get a cigar, that how much would they expect to spend? $6, $7, $10, $12.
A premium tobacco long leaf filler cigar, $10.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
I was going to say 8 to 12.
it depends on where you are in the country too, because everybody has
exactly. It
taxes.
depends
true.
on taxes.
You're in Florida, and in Pennsylvania.
If you're in New York, that $12 cigar is like $18, $19, whatever it is.
And I stress long leaf filler, because there's such a thing as short or mixed filler cigars, which are not long leaf, and those could be a little cheap, but those could be quite pleasant to smoke.
Cigars.
Right. There's like I said before, Ron. There's so many. Every question, it could open up just a book full of
a myriad of answers.
Silly information.
Yeah.
So you can for what we're all smoking here now, I'd say about $10 will get you there.
Okay. And you all described it, and that's about wine. I mean, if you want to get yourself a decent bottle of wine, around $20 is probably better than around the $8 or $10, $12 bottle of wine. If you get something that costs around $20, $25, you're going to get consistently a good bottle of wine. So you figure 8 to 12, you're going to get consistently a decent smoke.
Right.
Sure.
Pretty much.
I wasn't really listening. Is that right?
I noticed. You do that a lot with me.
What?
I feel sad.
It's not just you.
That was an excellent question.
Is everybody? Okay, Mike. Well, Mike, did that answer your question? I mean,
yes, it did. Thank you very much.
What was the question again?
Oh yeah. It was you can tell the difference between the cheaper cigars versus the more expensive cigars, and apparently, got the answer.
Yes.
Okay, now a bottle of wine. I don't know about you guys, but I can't drink a full bottle on my own. So I put the cork back in it, put the cap back on it. No offense, but whatever. Can you do the same with a cigar? Once you lit it, now you have to finish it?
You can't drink a full bottle of wine.
I told you already. He's new and he's just learning stuff.
Not with wine.
I was kind of hoping this would come up.
I thought a bottle was a serving.
A lightweight, yes.
Okay.
A light heavyweight, but yes.
So, especially at the beginning when you're first starting to smoke, you're probably not going to make it all the way through a cigar.
Okay.
You should start with a smaller
This is where
one.
size matters, right?
Yes, it is. And I would recommend going no larger than a Robusto, maybe a Corona. Those are Vitola names. So anyway, get a small cigar, get a mild cigar. But if you can't even get through that, there is protocol to putting a cap on it. So putting it down so you can come back. Okay?
Okay.
And that is, we mentioned purging? We mentioned purging. Yes, we did. Now I'm remembering. Yes. So when you hit that point in time where you have to put your cigar down, knock off the ash, and I say knock when I should say roll. You don't flick it like a cigarette. You roll it in your ashtray so that the ash is removed, and you purge it. And then you put it down in the finger of the ashtray, and when you come back to it, you light it like you're lighting it all over again, like it's a new cigar. And you can do that once.
Purge. Explain purging a cigar.
Purge. I thought I did already. I thought we did.
That's when
blowing out through. Yeah, blowing out, not blowing in.
Oh.
to clean it. To clean it, you knock off the ash, and you roll off the ash, and then you purge, or you could purge and then roll off the ash, because that really doesn't matter. And then you lay it in the finger.
Then you make a mess in your lap. Then you make a mess in your lap.
So the finger, Ron, the finger of an ashtray is the indent in the side of the ashtray where you rest your cigar. That's called a finger.
A finger?
Finger. Yes.
I didn't know it had a name.
And then when you come back to it, when you stop getting dizzy, or after you eat dinner, or if the wife wants to run out somewhere, you come back and you light the cigar as if it's the first time you lit it. And that's a whole process in and of itself.
Knock off any new ash that formed, and relight the cigar just like you would lighting a fresh one.
Wow.
Yep. And does anybody want to walk through the lighting process? I feel like that's important.
Yes.
Who wants
that might
to do
be.
that?
Yes.
And anyone? Craig,
I've always been a toaster. So I like to toast the end of my cigar. So what that means is that when I light my cigar, I don't just put it in my mouth and start puffing on it with the flame in front of it. What I like to do is I like to prepare the end of the cigar by gently heating it up so that it turns to a nice brown color, and then it starts to glow a little bit in spots. At that point, the cigar is toasted, and it's preheated, and it'll light better and give you a better draw and smoke right away.
The idea behind that is that you have an even light. The idea behind toasting is to give an even light, that the whole rim and the guts are all lit.
Right, and my particular fetish is that when I do my toasting, I like to do the ring of fire. I like to go around the edge of the cigar to ensure that the wrapper and binder have been merged together by the heat so that it burns evenly all the way down.
And me personally, I don't toast. I do go straight to lighting it in my mouth, but I've been doing this a while. I know to rotate the cigar while I'm doing it, while I'm taking my lighting puffs, and then always you take the cigar out and you blow on the ash, and it'll light up, and you can see that it's all lit up. That's a little trick that you can do if you wanted to.
It's not all lit up.
Transversely, yes, that's also accurate.
Yes.
And you also don't want to put it directly in the flame. You want to keep it above the flame.
That's very important. Thank you, Craig. That is very important. The flame never touches the tobacco. It simply warms the tobacco. Otherwise, you're going to taste burnt notes.
Interesting.
It's all very complicated.
It is.
There's a lot to
It's a whole ritual.
The whole ritual. It's just, it's like wine. You pour yourself a glass of wine. We go through all of our rituals there and all that. And cigar does the same thing. You are going through the rituals.
It's all setting the mood. It's all setting the mood. These are both luxury items, and they're meant to be enjoyed in your luxury time. And you set a nice little place for yourself, and you have maybe a little ritual. You do something. Mike likes to involve my Mike. Again, not that I lay claim to owning a mic. Mike has his personal autonomy, but he likes to call over his rabbi. His rabbi says a little prayer, and and then they do it.
Cigar?
No, I generally call the moil so he can cut the end off my cigar.
Definitely don't want to cut off too much.
Is there not a rim shot option? That was gold.
Phil, where are you?
I don't have access.
Phil's still here.
Oh,
I
Phil's still here. Phil's been listening in the background the whole time. He's been enjoying the show.
I've been writing all this down.
Oh, okay. For your book. Oh, okay.
Well, good. What not to do on a podcast.
My mic again.
You guys actually lost me when Mike said fetish.
We all got thrown for a collective loop. I'm going to be honest. That was.
It happens. My Mike. Any other questions? No. Any other comments?
Ask another question. I like your Mike's questions. Ask another question, Mike, and then I'll ask you a question.
I
not
don't
better than yours. This isn't a competition.
I don't have.
If it was, yes.
You have answered my questions.
Real quick.
Yeah, you have answered my question.
When you're done with your cigar.
Oh yeah.
When you're finished with your cigar, you don't you don't stuff it out like a cigarette. You just let it sit in the ashtray, and it'll go out by itself eventually. Otherwise, you make a whole mess.
And when do you stop? So here's another popular question: when do you stop smoking a cigar? You stop smoking a cigar when it becomes less than enjoyable.
Correct.
There's a lot of people out there that will tell you to not smoke it past the halfway mark. They will tell you not to smoke it past the band. Always a take the band.
If you happen to be someone who's selling cigars, they'll tell you, "Oh, you should only smoke it halfway."
Zeno Davidoff.
Yes, Zeno Davidoff is famous for that.
Yeah. Then you get another one and enjoy half of that too.
Right.
Yeah. But when it stops becoming enjoyable, when it gets too hot, when it gets too bitter or sour, you put it in the finger of your ashtray. It's called a finger. It's the indent on the rim of every ashtray. Finger.
Yes.
It's exactly. You knew. Okay. So you just put it there, and you sit there, and you reflect upon your experience with that cigar, or you go do dishes, whatever. But you don't snuff it out. You don't snuff it out.
And the cigar will graciously retire.
Absolutely.
Very good, Mike. Very good.
Yes.
So, wow.
What are your?
I
got another one. Sorry about that. I know I think you were just getting ready to go on something, but what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on filtered cigars, or the cigars that look like little cigarettes or something?
Can we address this? Can we address this question to Phil? I feel like Phil hasn't had his voice heard.
This question is for Phil.
Okay.
Which one is Phil?
That's me.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Okay.
My
filtered cigars, Phil.
Yeah. I haven't smoked filtered cigars.
Ever?
Nope.
Huh.
They're a step from
so you're
cigarettes,
going back
basically.
to that classification of machine-made chopped short filler cigars with homogenized tobacco, whatever.
Wow.
Leaf wrapper.
Yeah. Cannot recommend.
Homogenized tobacco.
Cannot recommend filtered cigars.
Okay.
A lot of times it's honestly a tax dodge. It's a way to buy a cheap. Right. It's a way to buy a cheap cigarette, and I don't condone cigarettes.
Yeah.
Necessarily, unless I want one, then I do. But for the interest of this particular show, it's not cigarettes. So I cannot, will not, won't recommend filtered cigars.
Cap, did you just get that line from Dr. Seuss?
I should.
I cannot. I will not. I should not. It's like Boone's Farm or Strawberry Hill. I cannot. I will not. I should not recommend you just drink those wines. Spend a little bit more money and get something palatable.
Well, and that's the thing. I don't know if I said it before or not because I don't even listen to myself so often. But if you are working on a budget, don't try to get the cheapest cigar. Smoke less cigars. That's right. You heard it from a cigar guy. Smoke less. Just get the good cigar and smoke better. Twice a week. Smoke better because then you're going to get the full enjoyment. And then you're going to understand why everybody here is geeking out about it. If you get some cheap, crappy cigar, you're going to light it up. It's going to be terrible, and you're going to think we're all crazy and stupid. But not necessarily.
Premium cigars.
Well, I wouldn't go that far.
Premium cigars are not a nicotine delivery system.
Exactly. You don't get
nicotine.
You don't get hooked
I
on
can
cigars.
certainly vouch for that.
And the most important thing is you do not inhale cigars.
I was just going to ask you
that. Good point.
Yeah. Do not inhale cigars. Never, ever, ever inhale cigars.
That's
even the
real
retro
bad.
that blowing it out your nose. You're not inhaling cigars. You do not. So we should have left.
Point.
That was
we should have. Yeah,
that was my other question, actually. So yeah, that was good. Okay. Do not inhale.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So other Mike, I have a question for you.
Other Mike.
If I may.
Which one is other Mike?
Would that be okay?
Is that Ron's mic or?
That's my mic.
Other
my
Mike.
mic.
Not Mike.
That's
Not
Ron's
Mike
mic.
Weinstein.
Oh, okay.
Ron's Mike.
Oh gosh.
Ron's mic.
Is that you?
Yes.
Okay,
Not that Ron owns Mike.
No,
So
I don't have any claim.
Right. You two have your own full autonomy as a moral agent, Mike. Other Mike.
Right.
Other
That's right.
So I understand through Ron. This is all filtered information through Ron. I understand, and somewhat of you from you directly. You're thinking about getting into cigars. You're also, much to my surprise, dabbling in wine. For Christ's sake, you don't drink a whole bottle at a time.
Correct.
So
I'm a hobbyist.
you're not fully into. You're hobbyist. You're an appreciator of some minimal sort. So
there's one now.
So you actually have bottles of wines and you put the corks back in? Wow. I can't visualize that concept.
That's like having a leftover barbecue sandwich. Like I don't. Anyway,
take the cork out and throw it away. I'm never going to use it again.
Okay.
I just don't understand that. But anyway,
especially between me and the wife. I mean, the bottle goes real quick.
Okay, Mike Weinstein. I'm not addressing Mike Weinstein. Other Mike, what's your name? What's your surname? Do you have a surname that you share? So
surname.
I can distinguish between Michaels.
Mike B.
What is it?
B. B as in Bravo.
B. Mike
yeah.
B.
B?
Yeah.
B.
That works.
Okay.
Not B-E-E.
B.
Just
Yeah. Just B.
B. The letter B.
That's my stage name.
letter B.
My professional stage name.
Okay. So Mike B.
Oh, you're
Mike
talking to
B.
me? Is that me?
You don't know much about. Yes, Mike B.
Okay. All right.
You don't know much about cigars, but we're going to fix that.
Yes.
Okay. You know a little more about wine.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not putting you on the spot here, but I am. I'm not trying to be derogatory at all, but I'm just interested. What's your bag, man?
What's my
what do you like? What makes Mike B tick?
Oh. Wow, that's a good question. I have to go back in the archives for that one.
Mike,
Are you real? Are you an actual
Mike,
person?
Mike, this is a pickup line that Cap. This
me go back.
pickup line that Cap has used on all of us.
Oh, right. Let me see if I have that in my. Let me check my notes real quick. If I have what makes Mike?
Mike B. What is your favorite color?
Blue. Blue.
Blue.
It's going to be followed up.
Blue?
It's going to be followed up with him
my.
asking if your legs are tired.
I must crack this enigma of Mike B.
Welcome to All About Wine. All right. Okay, what now?
Mike B.
Mike does a radio
You're
show.
forever going to remain a mystery. Oh, he does
every
a radio
Saturday
show.
morning. Mike does a radio show,
Oh.
music show.
Wow.
It's part of
Music. I'm writing this down.
Oh my
Oh,
God.
Yeah.
music. Okay.
Yeah,
Mike, tell us. Promote yourself for a moment here. Go ahead.
Well, thank you. How much time do we have? We have 27 minutes. Okay. Yeah. It's God,
No, we don't.
why did I should? Oh, it's dinner. Oh, okay. I have no idea. Yeah, it's Saturday morning. What time? Let's see. You're West Coast. You'd never. It's 7 a.m. Eastern time. So that's like 9 p.m. the previous day. Your time. I don't even know what the time zone is.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. 9:45.
Yes, that's actually 1976.
6. Yes, and it's 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. On. There's an iOS app. There's it's online. It's not but a ton of listeners. It's really good compared to where I was doing it. But I've been doing it since like 2006, 2007, somewhere around there. So Yeah, it's a good gig.
What's the name of what's the name of it?
The station I'm on is Jetstream Radio, jetstreamradio.com. And there's a iOS app if you have iOS. I'm also, the previous shows are on Mixcloud, and I can't remember if anything else has been picking up, but yeah, there's just getting on Mixcloud, but yeah, so it's every Saturday from here, Florida.
Mike B. What kind of music guy?
Well,
anything and everything for the music.
It's mostly 70s classic rock, classic hits of the 70s, some 80s, and request. I mean, requests can go to anything to current stuff, but I try and stick to that era, I guess. So mostly an older crowd, but just depends.
And he has had requests for some obscure artists that he has been able to find and play, and he has a lot of listeners over in Europe because of the time zone that
afternoon, evening there.
He does quite well.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been
fascinating.
It's different, just something else, but it's a good time zone, I think, because of that. But it's early for people in the U.S., so most of the listeners are in the U.K. or Eastern Europe. Yeah, Eastern Europe.
Cigar Craig has a huge following in Iceland.
Really?
Oh.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's close to Norway. Let me get the map. But I've had a few from Norway, and I don't know where that is in relation. But yeah, I've had some people from out there. It's cool. We chat, and I just spin the tunes and announce and do all kinds of things like that. So it's just a regular show,
like a DJ.
Just a regular.
Just like a DJ. You're like a radio DJ. That's outstanding. I don't know what makes me think of this, but Phil. I don't know if he's still here or not, or if he ever was.
Yes, he is.
But Phil, being part Samoan, has a huge following in Samoa. I believe is.
Yeah.
Isn't that a Girl Scout cookie? What is it?
I'm also a quarter Sri Lankan, so a huge Sri Lankan following.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. All right. This digresses. All right, guys. Thank you for taking the time to join us tonight. It has been fantastic, and the knowledge that you have passed on to cigar smokers out there and future cigar smokers, and even long-time cigar smokers, I'm sure they have found something that was new and interesting to them. So
definitely,
thanks so much for being on tonight.
I personally like to believe that the knowledge I impart during my lifetime will live long beyond my years, Ron.
Oh, yes, I'm sure it is. Well, Sound Bits, which Mike B has picked up from you, has lived long past years. In fact, before we get off, Mike, can you pull that up and play it for him so we can remind everybody what Cap had to say?
This is Cap from, and we actually had it during the anniversary exit outro. So yeah, he was on there as well. And this is the clip.
This is www.kaplowitz.xyz.
I want to be able to sit down in my chair and have my ashtray, my cigar, a little bit of a libation if I decide to have that, and I want to be able to just be there, and if somebody comes over to me, I want to be able to yell at them and tell them to go away. And I wanted my voice to carry, and it carries better indoors when I say, "Why are you bothering me?"
That was it. That was a short clip. Yes.
That's on brand.
There you go. So,
and that's a glimpse at my upcoming immortality.
Now, you are currently writing a real book, though. I mean, this is a true How to Enjoy a Cigar or something. Did we touch on that or no? Other than it's a 2-hour long book.
On it. That was it.
Yeah.
I don't really like talking about myself. But
I could tell.
I thought we were all being honest in this podcast.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was going to be funny. But no, I'm currently writing a book, a small, it's probably going to be a chapbook. It's with the intent of being able to be read within the confines, the time confines of a cigar. It's geared toward very new smokers. It's simply how to enjoy the cigar you are smoking. It's not very geeky. It doesn't go deep. It's very superficial. I tell a couple of stories here and there, a little razzle-dazzle, but it's as if I was sitting across the table or next to you somewhere, and I'm walking you through your experience smoking your first or one of your first cigars. I tell you how to cut. I tell you how to light. I tell you a little bit of the story. I tell you how to puff on the thing. I tell you all you need to know, and I give you again. There's a lot of steak, but there's a good amount of sizzle, and I'm looking forward to all you reading it and letting me know.
Coming out with it. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm not going to have any free copies. So I'll let you know where you can send your checks into.
You going to be printed or online or both?
It's going to be just print, very, very, very lo-fi and lovely. A printed chapbook, a short book, and it's going to be available just through myself. And I will send it out to you personally, and it'll be as if I was sending my voice in the mail to you to read in any voice you see fit. Possibly mine, and it's going to take you the length of a cigar to read it, and it's going to cost about what we said a nice cigar costs. So right. I highly recommend it, as does Cigar Craig.
Absolutely. Well, we are all looking forward to it, I can say with all
absolutely
all honesty there.
I sense the excitement. Yes.
And what's the time frame?
Look for that coming soon.
Oh, coming soon. Okay, I wasn't sure if you had a set date or if you're still
coming soon. There's no time frame.
Gotcha.
I don't operate on time frames.
Okay.
Might be.
So next week then.
So before we leave here, one more time, let's each of you give your information so people can follow your blogs or your Facebooks and all that. Let's one more time before we go here and give us information. So let's start with Craig.
Okay, it's cigarcraig.com, Cigar Craig 1 on Instagram, Cigar Craig on Twitter, if you care about that sort of thing. And you can find Cigar Craig or Craig Vanderslice on Facebook. And if you don't finish your cigar, for God's sake, don't put it in your humidor when you're half smoked cigar. Just don't do that. Just don't do that.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
And you realize I control cutting you guys off, disconnecting you. I am in charge of the switchboard here. Okay, Cap. Information.
Cap, that's me. Yes. Kaplowitz Media. That's found at www.kaplowitz.xyz. I was told .xyz was the next big thing. I don't know. It doesn't seem like
you're
it's
the only one that I know that has it.
I know. I don't know. It's Kaplowitz.xyz. I write about cigars. I write a little bit about pipe tobacco. I write a little bit about Sherlock Holmes. That's another interest of mine. And go check it out. And when the book is available, you'll know if you follow along there. Keep checking back there. And I also do a podcast called Person. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Maybe you could even have me back on. That sounds miserable.
Maybe, yeah.
Anyway, so also I do a podcast called First and 15th with Phil Carute. I apologize, Phil Carute couldn't make it tonight. But we do a podcast together. Again, it's called The First and 15th. It's available on all podcast catchers and or players. It comes out the 1st and 15th of every month, which is why we decided to call it The 1st and 15th. And it's just Phil and I talking about whatever is on our mind. So don't tune into that if you want to hear about cigars or Sherlock Holmes or anything. It's just a conversation.
Just rambling.
Yes.
And Phil, do you have anything to add to Cap's promo about you and he and your podcast?
Yeah, I'm also on the First and 15th podcast with Cap. You can find me at comedycigarsmusic.com, on YouTube, Comedy Cigars Music. You can find me on Instagram at Phil Carute. And if I can give any parting advice for any new cigar smokers, when you go into the local cigar shop and you're talking to your tobacconist and you're trying to describe what kind of cigar you want and the process you want to go through, try to omit the word fetish.
The word what?
That's a good one too. Fetish. Don't say fetish. Don't
fetish.
Say also, if I may be so bold and cut in for a second again, I'm very sorry. I don't normally act in this fashion.
Of course.
Phil
does a lie.
Phil does another project that he's working on is Phil Switch. That's Phil, the name Phil Switch, and everybody should check that out too. I don't know if he's very good at that, but I'm a big fan of Phil.
PhilSwitch.com?
Phil
yeah,
Switch.
No,
just Phil Switch. The Phil Switch.
Yeah.
Go to wherever you listen to podcasts. So if you're listening to this now, immediately, wherever you're listening on, type into the search feature, Phil, the name Phil, Phil, Switch. Phil Switch. The Phil Switch.
Okay.
Thank you.
But don't leave us yet, because you got to hear the end of the show.
There's some on.
Oh yeah. I thought you were talking to me. I'm not going anywhere. We're going to talk for hours. You don't know.
Again, I control the switchboard. I can cut you off anytime. All right. Mike.
That's me.
That's you.
So again, I'm Mike Weinstein. I'm on Facebook. I'm the admin for the Kaplowitz Media Facebook group. So if anybody's interested in cigars and wants to see some pictures of cigars, that could be a place you might want to go. Just message me and I'll be happy to let you in.
And all of you, if anyone has questions about cigars, can they get a hold of you through all these sites that you just mentioned?
Absolutely.
Okay.
No.
Okay. No. Too late,
what we prefer,
be happy to answer any questions anybody has about cigars.
Yeah, if you have any questions.
And if I don't know the answer, then I'll find out because I need to know them too.
Send any questions to Cap, and then he'll filter them out to us.
Yeah. He didn't know the answers.
Sure.
All right. Thank you guys for taking the time tonight to join us. It has been enjoyable, educational, and really fun.
Yes.
So
this has been fantastic.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks for having us.
Ron.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Ron. Thank you, Mike B.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I will be talking to you guys later. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay.
Have a good day or good evening.
Bye.
Yeah, thank you.
You too. Bye now.
Bye.
And the audience, there you go. Cue the audience. On cue as always.
Audience is there.
Yes.
All right, we're going to get rid of everybody here.
Uh-oh.
There goes Mike. There
Are they
goes
getting the
Phil.
X?
There goes Cap.
X'd.
And there goes Craig.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay. Dang, that was quick.
That was fun.
Yeah, that was very good. Yeah, I took a ton of notes. Some of the stuff I could catch up with. There's a lot of information there, and yeah,
a lot of information. Yeah. I have learned so much from them in 8 months, a year. I don't know. I don't even know when it started, but I have learned so much about cigars and the whole aspects of it that it's really been a great journey. And the fact that I enjoy the cigars now because I'm looking at it instead of just it's a cigar. I'm looking at the different flavor profiles and all that, just like with wine, and it really makes a difference. I'm not getting cheap cigars. I'm not buying the $2 cigars. Well, I can't say that because I am buying $2 cigars because I go through Thompson Cigar to order these things, and I get the cheaper cigars. So when I play golf, but it's like Cap suggested there, because you start losing. You don't grab yourself a bottle of wine, open it up, and carry a glass with you while you're walking around mowing the lawn.
right?
Or while you're out playing golf. And the same thing with cigars. And so, they're made to be enjoyed by themselves and all that. But they've taught me a lot over the years, and it's an interesting show, a lot of fun. I enjoyed it myself. So
yeah, well, they sound like a good group for sure. So yeah, very knowledgeable, and yeah, they can cut the jokes, and they can answer questions and good talk. So yeah, it's pretty good. And I'm pretty sure Cap was really struggling to keep it clean. Thank you very much, Cap. But
they all were, believe me.
Oh, really? Oh, they all do. Oh, okay.
They all were.
I thought it was just Cap, but
so many chances for double entendres there.
Okay, yeah, that was the one I was most worried about. But I didn't realize they were all struggling. Okay. But
yes, they were all struggling. They all have their moments, I'm sure.
Okay. Well, there's if you go to YouTube, you can search YouTube for Comedy Cigars Music, and he does have some episodes on there. If you're want to tune into those, I'd say about 30 minutes, maybe 30 minutes or less. The last one that was done 20 hours ago is the topic is the White House and open-mouthed dog kisses. So that was don't know, haven't checked it out, but it's a video and just under 30 hours or 30 minutes.
What is the comedy?
Yeah, just do a search on YouTube, or actually I did I googled Phil Switch, 2 words, and those are the top 2 videos that came up for him, at least, and I'm sure there's others on YouTube, but you can go there to the videos and see those. But yeah, those are on. So yeah, check comedy cigars music, and I just
cigars. Oh,
yeah
okay.
yeah. Yeah, I just googled Phil Switch, see if I could find Phil Switch somewhere, like on a podcast thing, and it came up on YouTube. So I thought, oh, there's an episode. There's 2 episodes up there right now. One 20 hours ago, and then Catfish that was done a week ago. So yeah, there's shows up there as well.
Yeah, that's probably what he does. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
so,
cool.
There you go. So
all right, second. And Mike Weinstein.
Mm-hmm.
He's on Facebook. I see his posts pop up, every other day, sometimes every day.
I thought it was Weinstein. Is it Weinstein or Weinstein? Weinstein.
Weinstein.
Okay.
Weinstein.
Yeah. Okay.
Weinstein.
And
he'll do a post. He shows the humidity of the cigar and tells you a little bit about the smoke and all that, which is always interesting.
Yeah.
And then Cap has been on Facebook with his Sherlock Holmes and cigars and stuff on there. So he's got that. And then, we've got Cigar Craig, who is the quote old man of cigars. He's been around for a long time. He knows people and he knows the business, and he's very knowledgeable, as all of them are. So
yeah, sounds
it was a great show.
Yep. Well, we will close this one out. We're almost at the top of 9 o'clock, which was
wow.
Yeah. We will be back on August the 4th, which is next Thursday, 7 p.m. Yeah, 7 p.m. Eastern time, right here on Blog Talk Radio, and I don't know who else. Oh, Facebook, YouTube, and probably Mixcloud by then. Hopefully I'll get that straightened out and go live on Mixcloud.
Very good.
Yeah, but you can hear our past episodes on Mixcloud for sure. Just talking to Ron before the show started. There's over 530 shows on there, and it's Mixcloud.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, mixcloud.com/allaboutwine. Real simple. All About Wine, one word, no spaces. And check them out. All of the archives are there. Wow, I didn't know that until about 2 or 3 days ago. So
I didn't know until about 2 hours ago. Wow.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, what?
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And we talk about our number of listeners, but that
does not figure out.
We don't know how many listeners there. We have no idea. So it's just amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. Once that account goes to the pro level. They do analytics and you can track that stuff. So maybe
really?
Yeah, maybe they're still in there, but we'll keep track. So yeah, hopefully by next week. Thank you all for tuning in, and have a great weekend ahead, day after tomorrow, and hope you enjoyed it, and we'll join us again next week, and have a great week. Thank you.
Be safe out there, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, thank you.
This is All About Wine, broadcast, a talk show dedicated to the wine industry since 2009, featuring winemaker, cellar master, vineyardist, and tasting expert, Ron.
Basically, what we're trying to do on this program is just trying to educate people and trying to make wine less confusing and more friendly.
From coast to coast and around the world.
You know, we really have had some neat people on the program. I love that.
Post your questions and comments during the live show on our Facebook page at www.facebook.com/allaboutwinebtr. Again, that's www.facebook.com/allaboutwinebtr. And now, All About Wine is on. Here's Ron.